This is the MochaFootball.com. This is the MochaFootball.com.
Okay, everyone. This is week 6. We're past the midway point. We're ready to get into that playoff push. Damon, playoff scenarios are really taking form. And before we get into this week, we got to look back at the game of the week last week. Northwest Sherwood that was played at Gaithersburg. Really good game. It was a defensive battle. We know that Northwest's defense has improved over this past season. Sherwood's defense has improved over this past season. And this is the type of game where you had to lean on your defense. Both teams did. Sherwood came out first quarter, had a big play to Marcus Sims early on. They went up in the game 10-0. Right before halftime, Northwest scores on a kick return. That really swung the momentum back in Northwest's favor. Northwest comes out, has a great drive led by Mark Pierce. They go up in the game, and at that point, a lot of people actually thought that Northwest would gain control, but the Sherwood kids fought back, scored, making it 16-13, held it in the last seconds, got a few turnovers. Travis Levy really set the tone in this game, especially in that second half, and he decided to dip that shoulder down and show his power. And when he started doing that, I think that he really set the tone for the team. Of course, Marcus did his thing. Sean Bliss continued his efficient play. For Northwest, I think that they're just young right now. Mark Pierce had a few balls in the air that were really good balls, right? That probably should have been caught for big games, if not touchdowns, but they couldn't make the connection with the wide receivers. They're still developing, but they're talented, and that's a good thing about Northwest. But, you know, this is their second loss this season. Not to really panic about, because, you know, they, 7-3, I believe even 6-4, correct me if I'm wrong, will still get them into the playoffs. So I don't think there's anything really to panic about right now. But they definitely need to gel a little bit on the offense side of the ball. But the good thing is they have a really good defense. And last few years for Northwest has been, man, they're putting up a lot of points, but the defense has been kind of suspect. But that's not the case this year. How did you see this game, Damon, and what did you take away from the result?
Yeah, this was a rare Saturday night matchup. So yeah, this Saturday night matchup between Northwest and Sherwood, with the weather being what it was, even though there were several turnovers and drop balls, honestly, maybe the score was the combined total was a little bit lower than I expected, but the way the game ended up playing out is exactly kind of how I envisioned it. You take away the weather, there might have been, 2 touchdowns apiece extra scored by both teams, but it would have came down to the last drive, I do believe.
Right.
Who had the ball and who did what. This wasn't going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination by either team.
Right.
As you mentioned, Travis Levy, to me, the player of the game. From what I saw on film, as you mentioned, he definitely took control of the game in the second half. He had a lot of strong, aggressive runs that he basically imposed his will on the Northwest defense. And on the other side of the ball, as you mentioned, from what I saw, Mark Pierce did a bad game. If you actually look deeper into it, as you mentioned, several drop balls, several tip balls that either led to incompletions or interceptions. He had very, very few bad balls.
Right.
Is basically what I'm saying.
Right.
But yeah, that's just the nature of the beast. He's working with a lot of new pieces and trying to fit them in to the offense that they want to run. For Northwest defense, again, as you mentioned, they've been holding the Jaguars up pretty much the entire season.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the loss, holding Sherwood to 16 points.
Oh, that's yeah.
That's a good thing. But at the end of the day, the Warriors came on top. So it's things are going as kind of how we expected. Expected Sherwood to make a run toward the playoffs. Northwest is, even with their second loss of the season, they're still sitting pretty good.
Right.
So it's not panic mode. Definitely a setback for Northwest, but they're not in panic mode yet.
Right.
They get undefeated Richard Montgomery next week. We'll be talking about that at some point later on. And Sherwood
Right.
They're taking on Northwood
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
It is what it is. A lot of kids will be rested during that game.
Right.
But yeah, overall, the game played out how I expected it to play out, and I'm super excited what Sherwood and Northwest can do in the second half of the season, because so far it's been extremely exciting.
We're gonna move on to the game of the week this week. Springbrook is going over to Blair. This is a game, believe it or not. Blair's definitely still in the mix and with the playoff situation. And Springbrook, they have a loss right now. Springbrook is still in contention. So this is still a matchup that's going to be relevant for playoff contentions and things like that. But I will say this, with Blair facing Damascus, I think it's the last game of the season. If they lose this game, let's just say they're in a very, very tough bind if they lose this game. If Springbrook loses the game, they're basically done. Lawrence Cadet for Springbrook has been a monster all season. He's been one of the underrated players all year, directing the offense for Springbrook. Over at Blair, Amari Brooks, Cliff Carter, and Chris Green, they've put together, they're going to be talking about that trio probably forever at Blair. They put together one hell of a season, Damon, and they almost beat Payne Bryant last week. That's something that we're not going to talk about right now, but came up a little bit short. What do you think about this matchup, Damon? And who do you think is going to come out on top?
As you mentioned, this is an extremely intriguing matchup. Even though this is week 6, it has huge playoff implications, as you mentioned. A loss for either team puts them in the position of not having their destiny in their own hands. Springbrook, one of the surprise sleeper teams that have popped up this year. Coach Lomack, rookie head coaching campaign, has gotten off to a great start. Shezu, he's having an underrated, outstanding season.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even in their lone loss to Sherwood, he went over 100 yards rushing and receiving against the Sherwood defense. So that should give you a good picture of what type of
he's a great player.
He is. If the Blue Devils are to pull up this quote-unquote upset, he's going to have another big game, because I don't expect Blair to score 7 points again anytime this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that credit goes to the Payne Branch defense holding them to 7 points.
Right.
Because the Blazers have a high-powered, potent offense. So to hold them to 7, that's legit. But with that being said, I don't think Springbrook has that same type of defense to hold them to single digits. But I think they can match them on offense. Even though Desmond Colby, Chris Green, as you mentioned, Carter, Zokuri, all great players, but I'm going with Springbrook in the upset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling what Coach Lomax and the Blue Devils are doing this year. So, yeah, this is going to be the Nomad Upset Special of the week. I'm going with Springbrook, 36-32.
That'll be one hell of a game, man. I'm excited. Honestly, I could see that happening. Honestly, I can see that happening. Let's move over to the game that a lot of other people thought would have been the game of the week, which is undefeated RM. Let me repeat that. Undefeated RM. It doesn't matter what we think about the schedule or whatever the case may be. Richard Montgomery is undefeated. Going to Northwest, coming off that loss, Northwest clearly is going to want to bounce back. I'm pretty sure that Mark Pierce is going to try to get back the rhythm that, he once had with Alonzo Fourier, get back the rhythm that he had with Reggie Anderson in this game. I think that a really underrated part of Northwest's attack right now, I think, is the ground game with Khalil Owens and Juwan Ferrari. I think that they've stepped in admirably for. You're not going to replace EJ Lee, but the way they've performed really balanced that offense, and I think they've leaned on them in the run game and in the pass game to make plays for them. I'm excited to see this big boy Jordan Green run for RM, man. He's a big physical kid. Can set the tone for RM. But, you know, like we said, the Northwest defense has improved so much. It's going to be an interesting matchup. What do you think about this game, Damon? And do you think that RM has enough to pull off the upset versus over Northwest?
As you mentioned at the top of the show, Richard Montgomery is in a sole possession of the #1 seed in the 4A West region. They are one of our sleeper teams that we brought up in the preseason podcast, and they have played outstanding, led by big man Jordan Green. But he's not doing it alone. Ty Ebron, Gabe Gomez, also in the backfield, putting up good numbers. But as good as Richard Montgomery has done this year, my hat's off to him. 5-0. That is a great job by Coach Klotz and his staff. But
right.
Yeah, gravy train's over this week. Yeah, it's over. But just like Northwest lost last week, even though I'm picking Northwest to beat Richard Montgomery, by no means does that mean Richard Montgomery, their season is over.
Right.
They set themselves, I mean, you can't do any better. They set themselves up perfectly for later on in the season. I fully expect them to make the playoffs. Projecting ahead the next 5 weeks in the schedule, I don't see them losing too many more games outside of this one this week versus Northwest. Yeah, there's too much firepower for Northwest. They're coming off a loss. They want to get that taste out of their mouth immediately.
Right.
And they're going to take it out on the Rockets. Yeah, I fully expect Mark Pierce to have a better game. Statistically speaking, I got Northwest winning this 42-14.
Another game that I want to get into is Watkins Mill, 3-2, still in the thick of things over there in their side of the 3A. They're going to Seneca Valley. This is kind of a neighborhood rivalry, and Watkins Mill had that tough 2-week period where they faced Gaithersburg and they faced Damascus, and at that time a lot of people kind of, got kind of sour on Watkins Mill, but they've bounced back, won 2 straight. Still in the thick of things over there. Daquan Wims is a kid that is putting up good numbers for them at the wide receiver spot. Markel Grant is definitely putting up good numbers as well at the quarterback spot. Seneca Valley, Adrian Fields-Platt from all over the field. He's playing linebacker, which is kind of crazy given his size. Playing it well. And speaking on the Seneca Valley linebackers, they got just a group up there, and I think that's a theme throughout Montgomery County. Honestly, there's really good linebacker corps, and Paint Branch, Sherwood, obviously Seneca. There's a lot of good linebacker corps across this county, and Seneca is one of them. What do you think about this game, and do you think that Watkins Mill has a chance to keep this game close and possibly get into the fourth quarter with it being a 1-possession, 2-possession game?
Similar to Richard Montgomery, Watkins Mill, despite their 2 losses, have set themselves up pretty nice for a late season push for the playoffs. Currently, Watkins Mill is sitting as the number 2 seed in 3A South.
Right.
That's a good position to be in. Unfortunately, Seneca Valley couldn't come at a worse time.
Right.
Looking at the film, Markel Grant is definitely carrying this team.
Right.
He has a little help from a few of his backfield mates, but yeah, Markel Grant is definitely balling this season. And young kid, a sophomore, I do believe so.
Yep.
It's going to be exciting watching him in the upcoming years. But speaking in terms of the present, they're running into a rejuvenated, refocused Seneca Valley Screaming Eagle squad.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say much more about Seneca Valley. Sitting number 2 in the MoCo polls, number 5 in the state poll.
Yep.
This is the Seneca Valley that we all know, remember, and grew up on.
Absolutely.
Coach Kim has done good job getting them back into the conversation where we all expect them to be, and deservedly so.
Right.
Yeah. Seneca Valley, yeah, they're going to keep the ball rolling. They have not lost a step since the week 2 upset in Northwest, putting up no less than 49 points.
Right.
And I expect them to put up similar numbers this week. I got Seneca Valley winning 52-7.
That's
Yeah. This battle for Germantown is going to be a massacre.
Okay, everyone, we're back again with the great Adrian Fields Platt. Adrian, let's go back a little bit to the week 2 matchup with Northwest. How good did it feel to get back the King's Trophy over to Seneca, and how much confidence did you guys gain after that win?
I mean, that gave us a lot of confidence. I mean, it showed us that we can, play with the best, and we're back, where we need to be, and, all the off-season work that we did, it paid off. Because, I mean, we only had, 35 players. Half of us were going both ways.
Right.
And they had, 55 or something like that. So, I mean, it meant a lot to us.
And one of the biggest developments that came out of the game was the emergence of running back Darius Golston. He's been on the team for a while now. And I remember you said in the offseason, you talked about the supporting cast around you getting a lot better and being able to depend on other guys this year. What has Darius' development meant to you and the team in general, and how do you guys complement each other?
I mean, he compliments me a lot because he's the thunder to 1-2 punch.
Right.
So when I was cramping a lot, so they just put him in.
Right.
I'm glad he finally he played to his potential, and he really stepped up that game. I mean, he made a lot of defensive plays also.
Right.
And he was just hitting that game.
Right. Absolutely.
He wasn't going down on first contact, but
right.
meant a lot to us and the team. Showed us that I'm not the only player that teams have to worry about.
Right. Absolutely.
So we got other athletes.
Absolutely. Another kid that really stepped up for you guys is Petey Gaskins. A lot of people were wondering what he could do to make the team better, and he's proven to be a real nice piece. What has he meant to have him as your quarterback leading the offense?
I mean, it's been good because now not only do we have a 1-2 punch, which is already enough for our teams
right.
to worry about, but now we also have a passing game that teams have to worry about. They have to worry about our weapons on the outside like Cortez Irvin, Antonio Fox.
Right.
So they have to worry about all of them. So it's just going to be a handful for other teams to watch on film and have to contain all of us at once. So now that we got passing games, just
yeah, I mean,
dangerous as a whole.
I mean, it's almost impossible to stop you guys with all those weapons out there.
We're getting close to being really dangerous. We still making some mistakes and stuff, but we're getting there.
Right.
We're getting close to being a dangerous offense.
Right. Absolutely. You've been used in so many ways this season. It's hard to keep track. You do punt return, kick return, a whole bunch of things, and you're one of the most versatile players in Montgomery County. But the big surprise to a lot of us is when you started lining up at linebacker and excelling at that. What was that conversation like with Coach Kim? And is this the first time you ever played linebacker?
No, throughout Little League, I like defense way more than I liked offense.
Right.
And people would always tell me that I was a better defensive player than offensive.
Right.
So I didn't start out as linebacker because they didn't think I had it in me because my size and stuff. But then they tested me out there, and then they said they're going to put me in critical plays, and then then they saw that I could play. So then they started putting me in more, blitzing me.
Right.
I love blitzing stuff.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
We already have good linebackers as it is. So.
Right. And in fact, I was just about to mention them. I mean, you guys talk about that defense overall with Kendall, Deion Jordan, Quante Pearson, leading the charge in the front seven. You guys have really been dominant this season. Talk about your guys' mentality on that side of the ball.
I mean, on defense, I think we just have straight dogs. I mean, our linebackers are good. Our D linemen are good. Just everybody across the board. I mean, our secondary is good. We got Zay, James, Dion at linebacker. Quante, you already said. I mean, we got speed.
Right.
You know, lateral speed. And the thing that I like most about our defense is they all like to hit.
Right.
So that's going to worry teams. So, I mean, every game it's not, I'm not going to say, like, you know, I like hurting people or like seeing people get hurt as athletes,
Right.
but,
It's
you
football,
know,
man.
that's what our team does. So,
Yeah.
it's something that teams have to worry about.
Yeah. I actually remember that little video that started going around on Twitter after the Northwest game. That kind of showed, you know, the mentality, and I think that's when people started realizing that you guys are out there to kind of, you know, do some damage. After beating Northwest, you've blown out just about everybody this season. And is there a thing that you can point to, the reason why you guys are playing so well right now?
We're just not trying to lose focus. You know, we don't really, you know, play like, you know, the best talent right now, so we're not trying to lose focus and, you know, sleep on some team, and then, you know, they show up against us, because, you know, the moment we start sleeping is the moment the team gets some momentum on us, and then just start scoring, and then it's going to be like a halftime, Seneca 13 or whoever, like Magruder 14, and then we were like, whoa, what are you doing? We're not trying to blow away our chance.
You just talked about the fact that you guys are not facing the best teams right now on your schedule. Obviously, you know, you have the matchup with Damascus going down the line. You know, I know everybody loves blowouts, but are you a little bit worried that it could haunt you going into the playoffs if you don't get a lot of competitive games? I know it's been a topic of discussion on the board about the parity in the county. Do you think that there's a problem with the parity in the county, or are you guys just making it look that easy right now?
I mean, so it's just, I do think there is like a slight problem with, like, you know, the parity and stuff, because, you know, throughout the whole season, I mean, you go to playoffs against, like, you know, Frederick teams who play 3 or 4 teams that are, you know, really top like, and it's just hard, you know, adjusting to that, I would say. I guess, because they're going to be ready. They know how it feels to play against, you know, the best of the best. And the thing is, with our schedule, the middle part is just, you know.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's just dead, you know.
It's tough. You know, another Damascus, the team that's at the end of the schedule, they've been kind of doing the same thing that you guys have been doing, blowing teams out and everything like that. Have you guys been peeking over there and seeing what's going on over there? And you know, what I've noticed is, anytime you guys face a team that Damascus has already faced, it seems like you guys want to make a point, you know, to blow them out just as bad or even worse. Is there like something that kind of, you know, when you guys face a team that Damascus already faced, it's kind of like, all right, let's put it on this team a little bit, you know, just to show that, send a message almost?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there kind of is. I mean, we kind of like think about them in the back of our head every now and then. When we think about, you know, the scoring and stuff. Like, you know, I mean, they're in the back of our head. I mean, we watch film on them every now and then, because you know, they played Watkins Mill already, so, you know, we were watching film on them, and they also played Rockville before we played them. So we've seen some film on them. We've been watching them. Absolutely. We're just trying to take, you know, like 1 week at a time, like I said, in like the beginning of the season.
My last question is actually about Watkins Mill. You know, somewhat of a rivalry game, you know, just due to the fact that you guys, you know, live in the same town, probably went to some of the same middle schools together. Talk about that game and some of the things that you want to see from your team. You know, like you said, you're trying to fine tune, trying to make sure that you guys are staying clicking, not going to sleep. What are the things that you want to see from your team?
Probably just, you know, keep spreading the ball around, you know, work on passing and stuff, and just being more versatile. And, you know, try and get a blowout. I want to see, like, you know, our twos pick it up a little bit more, because they kind of slacked a little bit last week against Magruder. Got 23 points on us or something like that. So seeing them play to their potential will be, you know, good. And, yeah, that's kind of all.
Adrian, thank you so much for your time, man. And I know you're a busy man, so and we love what you guys are doing. Anytime Seneca is good, it makes the county overall just that much better, man. So keep on doing what you're doing, and I wish your team luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, no problem.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Damon, do you have anything else that you want to say?
As usual, if you have any questions or comments, hit me up at Nomad Anderson on Twitter, or shoot me a message on the message boards at locofootball.com. Yeah, it was a hopefully hopefully the weather will be a little bit nicer this week.
A little bit.
A little bit. We have we got a few interesting Saturday games. Yes, I do. We did mention this game, but it's another rare. I've been saying this a lot this year, but it's still a rare matchup out of county. Clarksburg and Urbana. Urbana is going to be crossing that county line into Coyote Canyon.
Right.
Coach Macarini coming back to Wilco to take on Coach Larry Hurd. Those two locked horns many times when Coach Mack was at Coins Orchard.
Right.
That's the game I'm going to try to be at this week, and also on Saturday, Wheaton versus Kennedy. Even though these are two teams that haven't seen a lot of success recently, this is one of the longer-standing rivalries in Montgomery County. It goes back multiple decades. All the kids, all the faculty, all the parents definitely get up for this game. So if you're free on Saturday afternoon, head over to Kennedy and see what a good neighborhood rivalry looks like.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's, like I said, that's all the time we have for today. This is the MochaFool.com weekly podcast, and see you next week.